This podcast is part of the Pathological Nerdcasters Network. Find more at pncn.rocks, where all the geeks come to play.
Yeah, but they're... You're breaking anymore.
Hello, and welcome to episode number 55 of the Botch Games podcast. This is the, everyone else has already done it, so let's talk about Scythe episode, I guess. That's the best way to put it. I don't really have too much to say in this little intro section, except that this episode I'm joined by Erin to recap all of the things that we did on vacation. We played a whole bunch of two-player games. I guess only one of them's actually meant for two players, but we played a whole bunch of games at a two-player count and had a ton of fun, which you'll hear about soon. And then the main section, which is why the episode is so long this time, and my apologies for that, is a full review and discussion about the new Stonemaier game, Scythe. I am joined by Tyler, who I will say right now in the beginning of this that he has been at marching band events every day but one for the past 7 days. Also school, and is just super worn out. So I didn't realize that when we started the recording, and so he doesn't really talk too much. So apologies for that. But we are joined by a special guest, who you'll just, if you're on Twitter, you already know, but we'll just get to that later, I guess. You know what? Who cares? I'll just go ahead and say it. Because apparently if you say his name 3 times, he just pops up with a board game in his hands. So let's try it. Cinnamon buns, cinnamon buns, cinnamon buns. Yeah, no, he didn't show up. But at least he owes me $5 because I told him I would do that just as a crazy bet. So now he owes me $5. And I'm joined also on the Scythe review discussion portion of the episode. I'm joined by Matt from the podcast and League of Nonsensical Gamers. I'm excited that we dive in really, really deep. We dive in really deep. I think that I would like to maybe do something with him every 3 episodes or so. Just go into a full deep dive kind of discussion about some kind of game. Because he just doesn't get to do it on his show. And it's fun to talk to. So tell me what you think about it. Let me know. And I'll be back at the end of the episode to talk about how to track us down. So stick around and we'll be right back.
Hello, and welcome back.
Oh, man. You get me every time. Right when I'm about to start the segment, you always get me.
We said that if Craig was the announcer for band night, because we've been doing band night all week, that he would be like, hello, and welcome back.
So, hi.
Hi.
It's just me and you.
I know.
Because Tyler's going to be on later. Because our week has been cray-cray.
No, don't say that.
Our week has been redonkatonk.
Redonkulous?
Sure.
A catastrophe?
It's been a catastrophe. And it's only going to get worse until the end of the week.
Oh my gosh.
And you haven't even been on the episode for a month.
No. And there are
an episode for a month, I should say.
There are lots of things we have to say no to even. Like I had to say no to a shower today.
I know. When you stink, I can smell you over here.
A baby shower?
Oh, a baby shower.
Yeah.
I'm just glad you're across the table from me. You got a stench to you.
You get punched.
So during our time off, we talked about it last episode. We were going on vacation, and we went on a I don't know, what do you want to call it? A sexy vacation?
Super sexy vacation.
Super sexy vacation for our 5-year anniversary.
We went back to the place we honeymooned.
Mm-hmm.
And you would not pick up my challenge to you in chess.
We didn't play a game of chess the first time we were there. We played like 3 moves, and you were like, I don't want to do this. I'm drunk. Let's go to the room.
No, it was because they set it up wrong. They put the king and the queens on the wrong spaces.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it kind of messed up the whole game. We played a game of pool, or you played a game of pool.
You played. You were there holding a stick.
Moving it.
I think you hit balls twice.
Yeah, but the thing is you always hit all your balls in like 1 or 2 moves, and then you struggle with the 8 ball. You're a shark.
I don't know about that.
A shark. And then they had foosball, but it was too hot to play it.
It was. But we had a nice time, didn't we?
I had a fabulous time. I daydream about it all the time.
Oh, jeez.
I do. It went too fast. I missed it. It was great.
But you were the one who decided what games we were going to pack on vacation. And we played a whole bunch of games. We played a whole bunch of 2-player games on vacation, didn't we?
We did. The only ones we didn't play that we took were the ones from the little bubblegum packs.
Yeah, the pack of games.
Well, because we figured we would play them on the plane, and the plane never quite worked out that way.
It didn't. Does that... A catastrophe.
Catastrophe.
Plane rides.
Yes. Because on the way there, it was raining so hard we couldn't land once we got to Mexico. So we had to fly to the airport that was 3 hours by car away to refuel and then try to land again.
Right.
It wasted our whole afternoon.
Right.
All we had time to do was check in and go to dinner. And we were supposed to have time to swim and go to the show and have lunch and dinner. Didn't happen.
No.
But the good thing out of it is we got...
but on the way home, we had a screaming baby.
Oh, yes. Literally screaming. Literally.
Not crying.
No. And she was like a squealer and a screamer, and the parents like encouraged it. It was awful. I forgot about her. Oh my gosh, I blocked it out of my mind. It was terrible.
Yep.
So we put our headphones in.
On full blast.
Yes.
Each of us.
Still, we could still, and I couldn't listen to like, what did I say? Stevie Ray Vaughan came on. I couldn't listen to that even. It was too mellow. I had to drown out the baby. I had to listen to like, what did I say? Like Ludacris. And like, who's that other band I like?
You're doing the talking here.
I know, but that one that I really, really like lately, Fools on Parade.
Oh, Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah, I had to listen to music like that to try to even begin to tune out this baby.
Yeah. Yeah, so travel was a nightmare. The vacation spot was lovely. We were supposed to have some rain and some craziness, but we didn't. We had some really nice weather.
Nope, and we painted pottery.
We did have arts and crafts time.
We did, and we went back and forth from the beach to the pool to food. And you know you're an adult when you say that it's a nice vacation means the biggest decision you have to make is what to eat.
Right.
Yeah.
Or what pool to swim in.
Right. Because we had like 7 pools.
Yeah. So that's not why anybody's here, as we both know.
It's not?
No.
I could talk about vacation forever.
Well, let's talk about the games we played on vacation.
Okay, well, when we had Screaming Baby, we put our earphones in, and we played a couple games of Ticket to Ride on the cell phone app.
Yeah.
That was good.
And what did you think about it?
I really, really liked it. I almost wanted to play it with you a little bit during band night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, in the laws, because it's easy to just pass back and forth and take your turn.
Right.
The first game we played against the computer, freaking a yellow one. Well, I think blue came up from the rears and won.
Wasn't I blue?
Or whoever, red maybe?
I don't know. Somebody that wasn't blue or green.
Yeah. But I liked it, definitely. The one that you were playing that I don't know, it looks confusing to me, is, what's that one you were playing?
All Creatures Big and Small?
Yeah, I thought that looked a little confusing.
Yeah. It takes a game or two to get used to it.
Yeah.
But it's still pretty fun. But yeah, I think that, it would be even... Well, I don't know about that, but you could also get Ticket to Ride on your phone, and then we wouldn't have to pass. We could just sit next to each other and play.
Did we decide you can do that? Because you wondered if you could Bluetooth it or whatever.
I think that you can. I think Tyler and I played it over the Bluetooth.
Bluetooth.
Oh, is that the correct?
Yeah,
The Bluetooth.
The Bluetooth.
There you go.
She accentuates blue.
Yeah. I think that we played it like that before. I have to check, but yeah, it's definitely better just playing just the 2 players, because then we're not sitting here and accidentally seeing the screen while the computer players were playing.
Yeah, it was good. I liked it. I'm glad they made it.
And that was on the way home. So now are we working like time travel? We're going in reverse?
Well, I just chose that one because it went away with, it went with our travel story.
Oh, okay. It was a segue from the Screaming Baby.
I think if you listen to us, that's one of my favorite games. I like it because it's relaxing. Like, you could play it with a screaming baby nearby, but it also makes you use your brain a little bit. Not too much.
Right. So how about actual board games?
Well, when we got to the resort, it was the second day? You found out they had gaming tables?
They did. They had 4 foot by 4 foot gaming tables with the bar rail on top, and the speed felt on the table.
Mm-hmm. You were totally thrilled.
Totally thrilled. And
until the last night we were there, we were the only people I ever saw sitting there.
Well, they had like those 10-in-1
games,
chess Chinese
Backgammon,
checkers, backgammon, yeah, all those kind of things sitting on the table. I mean, who's going to go over and play Chinese checkers?
Oh, I would if I remember how to play
Don't
it.
nobody remember how to play Chinese checkers.
I like it, though.
I used to remember being fond of it, but nobody remembers how to play Chinese checkers.
Chubby Checker does.
And it wasn't like they were like real boards. They were like little tiny plastic beads.
Well, it was cute and nice.
It was, but I'm sure that many of those pieces are missing and gone by now.
Well, that's not the point.
It is. That's why no one played on those tables.
Well,
that's all
we
they had.
came prepared.
Of course we did. And everybody looked at us funny. as
No, they
walked
were
past.
just jealous.
No, is that what it was?
Yeah, duh.
All right, so first up. And most of these we've talked about before, but we're going to tell you how they play by the pool and by the beach.
Yeah, this list we took, I think we played most of them on these tables. We took Patchwork.
Well, we played one of them next to the pool.
Did we?
Yeah, we'll get there.
Patchwork.
We played Patchwork.
I won.
You did win.
Cremated you.
I don't know if you cremated me. I think that I am just bad at Patchwork. I put in all of the moves that I can possibly do to do well at it and almost fill my board almost every time. And you beat me 21-9. I even had the 7x7 and you beat me 21-9.
Boy, that's impressive.
Yeah, this keeps happening.
Impressive. Okay.
And I showed you the picture earlier about Uwe's new game. Mm-hmm. It kind of looks Patchwork-esque, but you're building gardens, and there's cat tokens.
Yeah, guess what? There's cat tokens.
30 of them.
Yeah, need 30 cats in my life.
No, we do not need 30 cats in your life. Okay, what do we got next?
Well, we played that one, remember? We played Patchwork by the front desk.
Yes.
Near where they have the conferences.
Yes.
On an empty table.
Yes.
So that was good.
By the payphones.
By the payphones.
And I think the one British guy dude called home because I think someone in his family died and he didn't know what to do about it.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Maybe I was in the bathroom.
Maybe.
All right, next we played Oh My Goods. We played Oh My Goods at the game table, and I won.
Did you seriously?
I seriously creamed you on that game, too.
Oh my gosh, you beat me 25-19. What do you think about Oh My Goods?
I love it every time.
Do you?
Every time.
I think I'm losing interest in it. Mostly because I don't think it plays long enough. I think that it gets right to the point in which you're really getting your engine going, and then the game ends.
I would say that, but we did play, remember, where each person had to have 6 this time.
8.
And that kept it going longer.
And still, it just didn't feel like there was enough time to do anything.
I still like it because it's such a little box and you can take it anywhere and it has everything right there.
Right. I'm down with that.
Mm-hmm. I liked it.
I mean, I played another game of his over the weekend, and I don't want to say too much because I'm going to talk about it in a new 100 episode, but it's called Port Royal and it's got some push your luck to it.
Fort Manteau?
No. And it ends just as abruptly as Oh My Goods does.
I think the thing about Oh My Goods is there's more that you can do, but you never really get the chance to.
Right. That's exactly what I mean.
You don't really get to chain your items. You don't really get to buy many cards out of the center. And
like Port Royal, 12, whoever gets to 12 points first, 12 victory points, the game just ends. It's done. It's over. And it's so anticlimactic for how good the game is. Just like Oh My Goods, it feels like just when you get your engine going and things are starting to really make sense and you're having a good time, 8 buildings, game over.
Yeah, but I do like it.
I do too. I just wish that the ending was different.
What I would say about it is there's so much, I guess maybe it's a good game to be like the first kind of game as its time of its kind. There's so much more you can do with it. Yeah. Like we were saying that one of the things to win should be where you have to buy so many things out of the middle. What are those cards where you have like 2 green,
the assistants?
Yeah. I really enjoy the game, but I would like to see more games like that. And I had a hard time with it when you first taught it to me. I think because there just isn't a lot like it. Am I wrong saying that?
I don't think that you're wrong. I think that it borrows some mechanics from other games, but I definitely think that the design of Oh My Goods is pretty innovative in many ways.
Maybe that's what I like it too.
Like the market row and because the market row is to push your luck in there. Am I going to be able to have all the goods I need to build, or do I have to shortchange the thing I'm going to be -1?
A lot of times you can end up drawing 8 cards, or you could just draw 2 till you get the sunshine.
Yeah.
And I forget what
I said on Twitter the other day that these little card games from Alexander Pfister makes them feel like J.J. Abrams, Because you can put on, J.J. Abrams can put on a heck of a good movie right up until the end, and then he just has no idea how to end movies.
That's true.
And that's how these Fister card games are like for me. What these Fister games are like.
Well, and I think too, when I was first learning it, I couldn't figure out, especially how the money worked.
Yeah.
Because it's just cards you're not using.
Right. The abstraction of the goods in card backs. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So then we played Seven Wonders Duel, and you've never liked that game until now.
Right. Because...
Well, listen, I could have ended the game. Remember? I could have had all the science or whatever. And I didn't because we were having fun playing. And you're like, well, I would have done it. And I was like, I know, but I'm not ready for the game to be over yet.
Yeah.
So I didn't. And then you turned around and beat me by a point or two. But you liked it because you actually felt like you got to do some plays this time.
In classic Mark's Household fashion, I beat you by 1 point. I think that this time, because we didn't have a lot of wonders that let you take another turn...
Oh, yeah.
That it felt more strategic. It felt like more... The problem is that there are so few choices when it comes to your turn on what card you're going to be able to take. Like in base 7 Wonders, you've got, a hand of cards to look at. Oftentimes, you have a 50-50 choice on what card you want to take in 7 Wonders Duel. And that's, to me, just not quite enough. And I think in the way in which we took cards this game, it opened up a lot more options. And I felt like I actually had options to be able to choose from. You know what I mean?
And I think we were, other than me not running away with the game with science, I think we were not so nice to each other either. We picked cards that would force the other one to take something maybe they didn't want. So we were a little more competitive.
I enjoyed it a lot this time we played it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is my 5th play, and after the first 2 plays, I was like, yeah, I don't care if I ever play this again.
So you really think that the big difference was the go again turn?
That was one of the big differences, and I think just the like I said, the pattern in which we chose cards left there to be way more face-up options able to be taken.
Well, I really enjoyed it too. I wouldn't mind playing it again.
Now, I'm really excited for the expansion.
Yeah, I am too. You showed it to me.
There's like different deities that you can, what's it called? Pantheons. Different pantheons you can worship that'll do all kinds of crazy things. Yeah, really looking forward to that. Oh, also, he's been posting some teaser pictures of 7 Wonders Armada.
What's that?
It's a new expansion for base 7 Wonders.
So, like, for my birthday?
I don't know. He has this tradition of putting things out for your birthday, but I don't think that it's even close.
Valentine's Day?
Maybe. I don't know if there's any time frame.
7 Wonders Day?
7 Wonders Day.
Whatever day it is will be a 7 Wonders Day.
Yeah. New actual expansion. Not babble craziness.
I can't believe you didn't tell me about it.
Well, I did about a year ago, because the first kind of mention of it was last year on your birthday, but there hasn't really been any mention of it since then. But what else we got?
We played Just Desserts and you beat me.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, you don't love it.
I don't love it.
It's just cute. I think it's cute. I got like 0 ingredients this time. I had no chance of beating you. It packs well in the suitcase.
It does pack well. I won't.
And I think we played that on the bed.
Yes.
And you played a bunch of different ways, so you were sure to win no matter which strategy you were going to use. All 5 colors or 3 at a time.
I hit both on the last turn.
Yeah. And I just couldn't get anywhere. But I like it.
It's a Looney Labs game. Like
well,
Flux.
It's just
luck and flipping cards and hoping and wishing and praying. But yeah, I see. It's light and easy enough to just...
And I think that's what we did. Didn't we play it when we were really tired or we only had a few minutes? Maybe both.
It's good just to keep your hands busy for a few minutes, you know?
I just still think it's cute.
I know that you do.
I like to see, I like all the colors and I like the drawings, and then what everybody likes, what each character likes is like kind of spot on what they would eat in real life. It's very like, what's that called?
You keep doing this to me and I have no idea the word you're thinking either time.
Stereotypical.
Oh, okay.
Very
that makes sense. If you can't tell, I haven't slept much this week and my brain's not keeping up with you.
Band night.
Okay,
I figured out which game we play by the pool. It was 8 Minute Empire.
We did.
We didn't lose any pieces.
We did not, and I was really nervous about it too.
And I beat you.
By?
One. Only one?
1 point.
1 point.
Not even, because we money tiebreakered again. We both ended up with 20 points, and you had more money than I did. And you won.
Yes.
And
Love that game.
Will said that you are now dealing with voodoo magic.
And I said I learned a few tricks while I was down in Mexico.
There you go. Yeah, we really need to break out Legends again, 8-Minute Empire Legends. Apparently it's what 8-Minute Empire was supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this is what was supposed to...
I don't think I ever played it, did I?
We played it once, and I didn't care for it, as opposed to 8-Minute Empire. 8-Minute Empire is so smooth. Legends is just kind of clunky and has, like, weird set collection
You know what else
on.
we bought, too, that I liked the first time I played it, and then we bought it and have never played Carcassonne. And I think Carcassonne reminds me of 8-Minute Empire.
No.
It does.
How?
I don't know. We'll have to play it and find out.
8-Minute Empire is like a set collection area control game, and Carcassonne is a tile-laying game.
I think because you're building your map, your region, and getting points for building your region.
I wish that everybody at home can see, like, the weird eye look that I'm giving you while nodding right now.
You need a good smack.
They're nothing alike.
Well, we're going to play it for next time.
Mm-hmm. You know what other game that I was thinking of, like 8-Minute Empire that we bought, but we only played once? Risk. Nope, that's actually comparable. Let's see, what's a...
Takedo.
Flick 'em up.
Shut up.
The panda game.
Whatever. So, the only other game I played, not on vacation, because I worked like ridiculous when I got it back into town, was Martian Dice. That's all the end. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Goodbye now.
That's it? Nothing to say about it?
Nothing to say. Goodbye.
Okay. All right, well, thanks, La. Thanks for joining me, and we have to play some games, because things have been absolutely crazy since we got back from vacation. You've already said goodbye? Oh, she's done. All right, well, then I'll be back with Tyler and special guests, and you're just going to have to find out who it is. So bye. You can say bye one more time. Say it.
Bye.
Oh, she's already gone. All right, so we are back for our main segment, and we are, because everyone else has done it already, it is now our turn to review Scythe by Stonemaier Games, and designed by Jamie Stegmaier, art by Jacob Rosalski, and everybody's talked about it, so I don't need to say anything. So, well done, everybody. That's it. Oh, no, joining me are obviously Tyler, because he can't get away from me. I just throw him in front of the microphone, and he's here.
It's true.
And we're joined by special guest, the other one from the podcast of Nonsensical Gamers, Matt.
You cut me deep. That hurts. But hello, everyone.
That's all right. Tiff owes me like $5 now. I told her I would do it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
So welcome, both of you.
I appreciate it.
Ty, you gotta say more than your little tiny hellos.
No.
It's gonna be a fun segment. All right, so we are here to talk about Scythe. This is everyone else has done it. Now it's our turn to review Scythe episode.
Yeah, we haven't done it yet, though, so this is good for me.
Right. And you don't even ever review, so this is a new event for you altogether.
Yeah, I'm considering pulling a Rodney Smith and just not saying anything substantial.
So, what do we think about the overall state of Scythe? I mean, let's talk about, Matt, you and I can talk about the Kickstarter, because I know you had some problems with the how the Kickstarter process.
I had a moment of weakness, Craig. And I explained this on our show where should I just jump right into it?
Sure.
The Kickstarter was wildly successful, and Stonemaier Games deserves nothing less. I mean, they've done well by their fans. They run a good Kickstarter campaign. Jamie Stegmaier knows what he's doing. But I ran into a hiccup personally where the distribution had hit major retailers because places like Miniature Market and Quickie Games, wonderful retailers, they were Kickstarter backers and got their games when everyone else did, and then they started to sell them. So friends of mine and other people in the board game world bought their games from retailers, got their collector's editions or their art connoisseurs editions before mine had even shipped. So I was a little perturbed by that, and that's my story in terms of where I butted heads with the Kickstarter project.
I was surprised too. I mean, I got mine, oh my gosh, probably 2 weeks before you got yours.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I didn't get the crazy collector's edition. I just got the base version because I'm cheap.
Yeah, I went all in because we'll get into it, but the aesthetic of the game really won me over. And the production value is just something that really resonated with me, and I had to have it all. I had to have the art book, and I don't regret it. I had a little diva moment where I was upset about, not getting my stuff when I wanted to get my stuff.
The games arrived. The Kickstarter project was all full of glitz and glory and all kinds of crazy art and pieces and miniatures and extras and stuff like that. So first we'll talk about the special edition, and then you can jump in with your collector's edition
Sure.
extra bits. So Ty,
Yes.
what do you think of what is in the box?
What?
What do you think of what's in the box? How do you like the miniatures? How do you like I mean, you've played Viticulture. You know all of Jamie's custom wooden tokens for everything. So like, look, like a windmill and this shield and heart.
Yes.
Is it good stuff in the box?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Excellent job.
He's to the point.
He's succinct.
He's very matter of fact.
Yeah. How about the art?
I like it.
Oh gosh. Okay. So the art, actually, the game was made because of the art. Jamie found the art on DeviantArt, correct?
I believe so. One of those like crowdsourced art sites.
And after seeing the art, wanted to make a game just based on the art. So obviously the art stands out first and foremost. And Matt, you got the art book, you said, right? So you got like the full prints and everything?
I did. It's a hardback art book. It is pretty beautiful. It's got all of the model renderings and things like that, and it also has a lot of these like full landscapes of what can only be described as it's Russia, but it's not Russia, you know, the Europa kind of thing. It's got lots of full page spreads. It's a beautifully put together book, and I'm glad that I have it.
Yeah, isn't it like the Czech, Croat, Poland kind of area? Like
yeah, I guess it all kind of falls in there because it's not a real landform. It's kind of a mismatch of these different nations, so pulled together into
giant factory in the middle.
Exactly, you know, like real life.
Yeah. We got the special edition, which just comes with the wood bits. It comes with plastic miniatures for the mechs and the leaders. We have just the standard board, which is, you know, the 6-fold board. On the other side is 2/3 of the giant board, and I'm sad that I don't have the giant board because that would be amazing.
Oh.
I know. I don't know if it would fit on our table.
I don't think it would.
Well, I can speak to that in a second. I'll let you finish.
So what else, Ty? We also did not have metal coins. We just have the cardboard coins. But
But for
What?
Christmas,
for Christmas,
you're getting metal coins.
I ordered 2 sets of the metal coins.
Ooh.
Yeah, because I'm going to use them for everything. Because they come in real denominations.
Yeah.
3s and 5s and 10s and things. 20s.
20s.
So everything in the game is as beautiful as you would expect. Even the board, the graphic design, like everything is super clean. He even does like crazy stuff. What are you pointing at me?
The objective cards.
The objective card? What about them?
Oh, no, the encounter cards.
Okay, the encounter cards. What about them?
Ooh.
Oh, mm-hmm. Yeah, in the rules it said when you draw an encounter card, show everybody the art on the card. So, did you notice that, Matt?
Yeah, I thought that was a really interesting, and not to jump to gameplay, but it's an interesting aspect that to feature the art, which the game was based on, the game actually asks you to show everyone the art, and you make decisions based on what you see. It's kind of interesting that way.
Right, I agree. So, like I said, as you expect, all the art is wonderful.
Yeah.
I don't have any complaints about it. Then we have from there, we go up to the collector's edition. So what is added in your collector's edition, Matt, so I can be a little bit jealous about it?
Well, let me throw this out there that there are 3 or 4 different versions of this game, right?
Right.
And I got the art connoisseur, so I don't know where what falls in between you and I. But they've all got fancy names that make them sound really super special. There's Collectors and Supreme and Ultimate, and you know, there's all kinds of weird kind of monikers with the names. So with my version, I know that I did get that extended board. I did get metal miniatures, and other than that,
Metal miniatures.
No, that's a lie. I got
That
metal
is a
coins.
lie.
I'm sorry. Don't get me started on the miniatures. I don't know.
No, you're going to have to now. I need to hear about it.
Let me touch on it in a second. I'm trying to think of what else was different. I know that I got an art book. I know that, you know, the extended board is obviously, if you flip the board over, it's the same exact thing, but it comes with an extension piece, which maximizes the board. I don't know, it's 50% bigger or something like that. It's giant. And I know that it does not fit on my table with the player boards as well. But overall, the production quality, all of the nice things that you want, which was like the inlaid board. It's got inset spaces where you put your wooden components and things like that. The plastic miniatures with already colored bases, custom wooden sculpts for your wooden components and things like that for each faction, which is really nice. All of that, I believe, is just standard, right?
Yeah.
So what did I pay extra money for, Craig?
You paid extra money for the board extension, The
Okay.
wooden resource tokens that were replaced by the realistic resource tokens.
That's true.
Because all
yes.
my resource tokens are just wood,
Okay.
which is fine by me.
Yeah.
Not that I'm, whatever. 4 plastic resource containers.
Oh, okay. Instead of you got 2, right, in the base game?
Yes.
Okay.
And you got the art book, and that's it. As far as I can see, that's
Thank
all
you for letting me know what I paid for. You think I'd
Yeah.
be more informed?
you would think. But yeah, your my cardboard coins to your wood coin or metal coins, wood coins. Jeez,
That would be awesome.
metal miniatures.
Metal miniatures. So the coins are fantastic, and I think that it makes perfect sense that you'd buy a couple sets of these because they're very functional. You can use them in other games. I've already thought about it because they come in denominations of 1, 3, 5, 10, and 20.
Right.
Which are super, again, functional resource counts. They're nice. They're different sizes, different sculpts, so you can tell them apart really easily, different colors even.
Yep.
And those resources are fantastic, although I'm hesitant on backing MeepleSource or the Stonemaier boxes because I don't get into different resources that much. But for this game, having them come and already kind of fit the game is wonderful because they are really nice. You've got custom sculpts for each of the composite material mini resources. The metal is super heavyweight. It feels like just a block of metal. So really high production across the board. And it makes your game, I think my game was like 15 pounds when it shipped.
Yikes.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, see, I don't need any of that kind of stuff. I'm okay with just the wooden stuff. Like, we have, what's that game, Tyler? Above and Below. And we got the, bonus stuff with all the, wood components.
Yep.
We don't even use them. We just use the cardboard. I mean, honestly, the wood components don't really look anything like they're supposed to. But that's beside the point.
That is true.
I do have trouble telling them apart.
Yeah.
Or-
This one looks like a roadkill cat. I don't really know what this was supposed
Right.
to be. Yeah.
They're definitely fluff. I think that you can play the game and it's beautiful and it's going to be a better production value than 90% of the stuff on the market, even just that base version. I guess in my mindset, I happen to have the disposable income, so I just went for it at the time. I don't regret it. Like, I love the production and I think that it blows every game in my collection. It probably blows it out of the water and probably blows most of the games that are out in existence out of the water.
Production material wise, you mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Do I get to lean on my criticism now?
As far as what?
The miniatures. How do you feel about the miniatures?
The mechs?
Yeah.
The mechs, design-wise, are a little weird. I think that some of them are a stretch of the imagination as far as relating to the actual mechs in the art.
Yeah.
But for the price that we pay, I mean, I paid $60 and got all this stuff plus all the miniatures, you know?
Yeah.
Am I blown away by the miniatures? No, it's not a Cool Mini or Not game by any means, but I don't really have too much criticism. I mean, the character sculpts are really nice, in my opinion.
See, I think I'm on the flip side of you.
Really?
I think that, and maybe this is just me being spoiled by game, Cool Mini or Not, especially, along with some other, Fantasy Flight and things like that. The miniatures here, I think that are perfectly serviceable, and maybe 2 years ago would have been standout. I think they'd win awards. I think they'd be wonderful for board game miniatures, but we've set such a high bar for what can come in a
Personally.
Yes, you and I have set such a high standard for what can come in a $60 to $100 box that it is, I say disappointing lightly because that sounds worse than it is. That they're wonderful, they do their job, totally functional, they're unique sculpts, they feature these lovely heroes and companions, they're all different, but the detail there does lack compared to some of the other board game miniatures you get these days.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the character sculpts are still really well done. I mean, I'm gonna put these in two different sides, okay?
Okay.
We have the Cool Mini or Not miniatures, which, Tyler, like Blood Rage, Arcadia Quest, so think about those.
Don't mention Blood Rage, because I hate it.
Well, just think about the miniatures.
They're terrible.
Oh, you're awful.
I know.
So we have Arcadia Quest, we have Blood Rage, we have even XCOM, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I like
we have
XCOM.
that high standard. On the low end, have you played any of the Flying Frog games?
I've seen them, I haven't played them, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Hideous.
Yeah, that's fair. So this falls somewhere in between there.
Repulsive. So that's our scale. Flying Frog to Cool Mini or Not. And I know that, mind you, XCOM is not a Cool Mini or Not game, but
Miniatures.
they're really good figs, in my opinion.
Yeah, and like Fantasy Flight's battle lore figures, things like that.
So that's the two ends. I think it's definitely closer to the Cool Mini or Not side. I think the characters are definitely more towards the Cool Mini or Not FFG side than way closer to that side than the Flying Frog garbage. But the mechs, in my opinion, are just middle of the road.
Yeah.
Like the red mechs with the
little
leopard feet
scythe claw
on his
things.
arms.
Yeah. I think the white ones are probably the best.
The white ones are definitely the coolest. The yellow ones are also not so bad. It looks like a Zamboni with a cannon on the front. And that's what I want my mech to be. If I ever had a mech, I want a Zamboni with a cannon on the front.
They can shoot giant rounds, and they can also smooth out your landscape.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is, I guess, beneficial because it is cold in Scythe.
Yeah. Which you'd think the Zamboni would be like the up north. I don't know where it lies on the map. So.
Wait, what color are they?
Yellow.
Yellow?
They're down south.
They're in the south.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
That's who I've been playing.
I call
against.
shenanigans.
They should be the blue guys. They're up north.
So what do you think, Tyler? What are your opinions on the minis? And don't say they're fine.
They're fine.
Ugh. Where do you think they fall? Are they good sculpts? I mean, here's my thing. Before I let you finish your answer, the character sculpts are like sculpts that I would paint, and they would, not saying that I would make them look decent, but they would be decent when they were painted. If I had any kind of skill at painting, they would be decent.
You had skill at painting.
Well, that was a long time ago.
And then
in a galaxy far, far away. Yeah. Suck that one. The mechs, however, there's not real definition or contours. I mean, they're just going to kind of come out looking like you swiped them with a house brush.
Yeah, I've seen some people painting their miniatures, and that's pretty much what they come out looking like. I mean, it's nice to have the coat of paint on them, but it is just kind of a coat of paint as opposed to exciting detail and things like that.
Yeah, but now mind you, I don't think that detracts from anything in the game because miniatures are a bonus. You know, we don't need them to play. People will disagree with me as much as they want. We don't need them to play. They're extra.
That is totally true. I mean, you can't deny that. Now, this game, they weren't an add-on. They were, part of the base game. It's not like the game was going to come with tokens and then they put in miniatures. It was going to come with plastic. And I do like how this game, there's a subtlety to the attacking where combat miniatures or combat units are plastic and non-combat units are wooden. So I do like the slight functionality there. But again,
look at you with the symbolism.
Yeah, but it's true. They are superfluous to some extent. In my mind, the scope of this game and this project, I guess I hoped and longed for that cool mini quality. But like I said, it doesn't detract from the game. It's just when I look at them in a vacuum, I'm like, okay, these are middle of the road miniatures in my mind.
Okay.
So, but hey,
I can see that.
There's more important things to talk about.
There are.
Like
what, Ty?
I was asking you, like what?
Oh, well, how about how easy is the game to learn? So for that, I'm going to look over to my left over here and ask you, Tyler, how easy is the game to learn? As a 14-year-old person, even though you've been gaming since you were like 5?
6.
Maybe.
How
easy was it to pick up Scythe?
Pretty easy.
So tell me what you do on a turn.
I mean, you do stuff and then it's all confusing.
Is it though?
Yes.
All right, so let's try this again. So what do you do on a turn, Tyler?
No clue.
You have your little pawn. You have your player board. What do you do with your pawn?
Place it on one of the spots on your board.
Okay, and on the board, what are the things that you can do? There's a what? There's a top row and a bottom row action, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what are some examples of some top row actions?
Bolster.
Which does what?
You pay a coin to either gain two things.
Yeah, what are those things called?
Or one battle card.
I've lost the name of what that's called. The little shield icon. What does that do? What is that called?
Your power?
Yeah, that's it. So you gain 2 power or 1 battle card.
Yes.
Okay. What's another one?
I'm not going to do produce because I never do that trade.
Okay, so in a trade action, what happens?
Pay 1 coin to get 2 recesses.
Recesses.
Choice.
Because every 14-year-old wants more recess.
I do.
I do too. It's okay.
2 resources or what?
1 favor.
Or popularity.
Same thing.
Isn't that what's called popularity?
Yep.
Consummate professionals. That's
I
what
know
we
the
are.
feeling.
So, and then if you take the top action, you can either take the top action, you can take the bottom action, or you can take both the top and the bottom action, but you have to take the top one first. And the bottom action is how you kind of upgrade your faction, right?
Yes.
So what's an example of a bottom action?
Upgrade?
Upgrade, that's a good one. Because that's going to lead us into a next little part about the interesting part about the game. So what do you do with an upgrade?
You move one of your cubes from the top to the bottom and it discounts it. Discounts the bottom action from having to pay more resources.
Right. It discounts the bottom action. And what does it do on the top action?
Gives you more stuff.
Right. So if you take an upgrade on your move action, say you take an upgrade on your move action, what can you do?
Either, I don't know. I know, but I don't know what that means. I always used to just move 2 guys and just move 1 space.
Okay, well that's what moving does. You can move 2 guys 1 space.
Okay.
So what does the upgrade let you do?
Move 3 people.
Move 3 guys 1 space. Huh? Fancy. After you upgrade, if you take that top cube off the upgrade or off the whatever you upgraded, put it on one of the bottom slots. So say it takes you 3 metal to build a mech, you can discount that down to 2 metal. And it's all in little, like Matt said earlier, the player boards have little recessed areas where you set all these cubes, where you set all your extra buildings, where you set everything.
Yep.
And Matt, I don't know if you've played it, but that whole system of like adding and removing cubes and moving things around and moving your mechs and getting all your bonus powers underneath reminds me a lot of Terra Mystica.
I have played Terra Mystica, and yeah, I can agree with that to some extent. I think that, I guess in Terra Mystica, it's you're placing things on the board typically, which frees up new actions.
Right.
And this is kind of, it is similar in that way where you're moving something down and it's a double benefit. You know, something gets cheaper and something gets more powerful or gets more profitable. So yeah, I think that it's interesting like that. It's a little easier to grasp. Terra Mystica has some depthy decisions in terms of which pathway you go, and this makes a little bit easier of a way to make that decision process. You know, what do you want to do better and what do you want to get more of?
And the removing mechs from your board is going to give you extra powers. Removing workers going to make things more expensive when you produce. Like, everything that you do is moving cubes or pieces around on your board or on the map to do all kinds of weird stuff.
Yeah, it really revolves around improving the efficiency of whatever you want to do. And one of the interesting things about the game, I mean, we haven't talked about the end game, but you're trying to place stars, and the stars that you place are basically objectives. So if you get all your mechs, you get a star. If you do all of your enlist actions, you get a star. So basically everything you do on your player board, when you've maxed out the potential, you get to progress towards the end game. You place a star and you move towards the end. So it's interesting that the game revolves around being efficient and making whichever avenue you want to go down better, but you get to pursue multiple avenues in a game because you have to. You have to pursue 6 different things.
And actually, it seems like a lot of the time you're pursuing even more than 6, because in order to achieve the 6 that you're going for, some of the other actions are kind of required in a way in order to progress in the 6 that you're going for. Like, you're not going to be able to have a very easy time doing this or doing that unless you do some upgrades. You might not be pushing towards upgrades, but, you know, it needs to happen so you can progress in the things that you want your army to do. Or, I don't really need all of my mechs, but I would like to get a couple mechs to get these bonus powers because I'm going for combat and I need mechs for combat.
Yep.
It might just happen that you end up getting the star for the mech or getting the star for the upgrades, but there's definitely a whole lot of paths. But I think that you need to kind of balance playing around in all of them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's 10 options, and 2 of them are the same. So there's 2 combat options. So really, you have 9 unique options to deal with, and
4 of them come from your player board.
Exactly. So what you find, at least what I found in my couple of plays, is that you pursue an avenue that kind of dabbles in everything, and then you kind of clean up whatever's left behind. Like those last couple stars, maybe you get up to 4 stars from your primary strategy, and then the things that you dabbled in to get there, you can almost use to grab those last 2 stars. You know, just kind of mop up the last couple things that you need to do, a couple upgrades, a couple enlists, and then get to the end game.
Plus, things like power and popularity just kind of happen naturally without you really even pursuing it.
Maybe if you're you, I can't get popularity to save my life, man.
Well, you just need to not choose the best option on your encounter cards.
But I like to make the cow into a steak and eat it. That's what I like to do. I like to lead the people astray into the mech-filled forest and listen to them scream.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
You monster.
Well, it costs me popularity, but it gets me lots of resources and money.
And Tyler called you a monster, so there goes even more popularity.
I'm down 1 fan. It's going to hurt my endgame score.
Yeah.
Good.
So, Tyler, how easy was it to learn? I know there's a lot of moving parts. When you look at the map and the board, you looked pretty daunted. You know what I mean? You looked pretty nervous about it.
Yeah.
Were you able to pick it up easily, or did you struggle with it? Like, how many games did it take you to really understand what was going on?
Half a game.
Just half a game?
Maybe. 3/4 of a game. I'd say that.
Now, that's just picking up the rules. Do you feel like you get it? Like, you know exactly the strategy that you want to be able to take to do well at it? Or do you just feel like right now you just have the rules and the basic understanding of how things work?
That one.
So what do you think it would take to actually develop some strategy in it?
I have no clue. Get the right board, have some luck, take the middle thing. Take the middle factory. I don't know, I'm just...
Have you taken the middle factory yet?
Nope.
Have you gotten an extra power?
Nope.
But you've seen plenty of extra powers.
Yes.
How important do you think those extra powers are? Are they crazy overpowered? Or?
Yes.
So what we're talking about now is in the middle of the map is a factory. And if at the end of your turn your hero's in the factory, you get to look through this pre-built stack of extra power cards, which becomes a 5th slot that you can put your player pawn on.
5th sloth?
Yeah, a 5th sloth. Because when you start the game, you have 4 sloths.
Yeah.
And that's how you win the game.
The game's really slow, is what we're trying to say.
It's not. It doesn't have metal miniatures, and it does not play slow.
Yeah, sorry. I'm not adding a lot to this.
And it doesn't have wood coins.
Correct.
That one was on you guys.
That was me.
Yeah.
Well, I see.
So if you end your turn in the middle of the map in the factory, you get to pick one of these extra powers, and they're a little overpowered, I think.
So there's a top action and a bottom action, just like any other action space. The bottom action is always move 2, so it's those top actions.
Well, it's move 1 guy 2 spaces. It's not separate boxes.
Yeah. So I guess in my mind,
unless I'm reading that wrong, because on the player board it was separate boxes for movement. To me, that meant that one person can move 2 spaces, and I could be completely wrong. If I am wrong, it hasn't been a game changer.
I guess that's a good question, because I believe every player board has the +1 hex movement per... It's the speed ability, which lets your character and your mechs move an extra ability. So
correct.
Would moving your worker 2 spaces versus 1 space even really shift the game that much? I'm not sure. We were playing it as 2 separate movements.
All factory cards have a bottom row move action. It's a little different than a standard move action, as it says move 1 unit up to 2 times with the same move action.
Well, then I guess I shortchanged myself in my plays.
Hey, would it have changed much?
I don't think it would have. So, I apologize for coming on a show and not having played the game completely correctly, but I guess...
Well, it's been good talking to you.
Yeah, I guess I can sign off now. I feel like... So, I played 3 times. I played 2 2-player games, and I've played a single-player game. And in my 2 2-player games, I'm the only one that's grabbed a factory card. My opponent never did. And whenever I grabbed a factory card, I only ever grabbed it for the top action, really, because the top action is powerful. I had one that would give me 3 or 4 coins for a card, and I had one that let me put a mech out for like $1, which is crazy, especially when that lets you play stars. I feel like at the point where you grab a factory card, you gun for that top action, and the movement could be beneficial, but you're not grabbing it for the movement. That's why every card has that same movement on it, because it's not that special, it's just a little bit better. So
the factory card?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that it could be, I wouldn't say game changing, but it definitely rushes 1 or 2 stars for each player. Like the one, my favorite is, and it's actually in the rule book, but I choose it almost every time it comes up, is you pay a popularity and you gain either an enlistment or an upgrade. Mm-hmm. And that's huge. Yeah, you need popularity to do it, but you just switch between the gaining the popularity action and then this action, and yeah, you are stopping any other progress for quite a few turns, but that's 3 stars.
Yeah, and you're saving 3 to 4 resources per thing.
Right. You're going to be working on maxing your popularity with the first action, and then you're spending one of them to gain your 4 enlists, which is a star, and your 12 upgrades, 8 upgrades, some number of upgrades.
8. I think it's 8.
So I have, since you mentioned it, I wanted to mention it also. I have 5 plays. I have 2 2-player games, 1 3-player game, and 2 5-player games.
Okay.
And Tyler only has 2 5-player games.
So we've got a wealth of experience, which is cool. I mean, we've run the gamut.
Wealth is kind of an over-exaggeration, but we have a sufficient amount.
I mean, I'd say 9 plays, 10 plays between 3 people is A-okay, Craig.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's
good.
enough.
We'll go for that. My last, maybe last question for you, Tyler, because apparently you're super tired from an entire week of marching band.
I am.
Okay. I was going to say shoulder shrugs don't count on air.
Yeah, well.
Unless you make them loud enough.
Unless you make them loud enough.
Matt can see me.
You need to dislocate your shoulders.
A lot of friction between the armpit region. We'll do it.
Oh, then it's going to make armpit farty sounds. We don't need that either.
He's trying, though. I got him to engage. That's
there
all
you
that
go.
matters.
So, and we talked about this on a previous show, but I want to know now. Yeah, just mentioned it. You had, on CraigCon, actually, you had your friend Alex come over, who's your age.
Yeah.
And you pretty much taught Alex how to play it.
I did. I did.
Was that a question mark at the end?
Yes.
Yes, you did.
I thought somebody helped me.
Well, he kind of helped you. I think Big Alex also helped you.
Yeah.
But how difficult was it teaching helping a 14-year-old who has never really played board games except when we made him play Zombie Dice? How was it teaching? Zombie Dice isn't too terrible.
No, I don't think that wasn't my facial expression that the listeners couldn't hear. I was thinking, a gamer to come into this game without Zombie Dice or with just Zombie Dice is interesting.
Right. So how do you think Alex picked up on it? How difficult was it to get him going? How many times did you have to help him and tell him what to do? I'm trying to gauge how accessible this game is.
It was actually really easy to teach him. And for him to get it, he got it in first 4 turns, I think, maybe 5. If there are even that many turns.
There are many, many turns.
Okay.
So you think he got it pretty easily?
Yes.
Now, did he just get the mechanics of it, or
Yes.
did he get some kind of understanding on how the game works as a whole?
The first one.
So just mechanics. He figured out how to mechanically make the pieces move.
Yes.
And I think that's an okay first step for a first-time 14-year-old play of a game of this nature.
Yeah, I think that's the interesting thing about the game is easy to pick up, but especially for someone who doesn't game regularly to see nuances and strategy and things like that, I think that this game has it, but that it's tougher to access than you'd think.
Now, I will say that I got crushed by someone who doesn't really play too many games, has a strategic mind, but doesn't play too many games, and I got all 5 of us. It was a 5-player game. The other 4 of us just got crushed.
Yeah.
So I definitely think there's a little bit of blind luck about it, to where if you just play your pieces right, you have a good chance of coming out ahead. You know what I mean? I don't think that eons of experience in this game is going to make it too much easier to beat your opponents than, just understanding how everything works together. I don't know if that sentence made any sense.
It does make sense.
They say Puerto Rico, you gotta play this many times before you get a feel of how to play Puerto Rico, and then there's a standard set of moves. I think that no matter how inexperienced you are at Scythe, you're gonna have the same amount of success as you are with someone who's played 100 games of it.
I don't know if that's fair yet. I guess I just haven't had the time with it to really experience it. I am interested in that idea though, because as I play, I've thought this is really accessible. It really is a much simpler game overall in terms of total rules and things to know than you'd expect. And given the fact that people are contending for generally the same things, you've got a couple combats, you're going to try to complete your objective, you might try to enlist or upgrade, but everything's right there. You kind of know what you're going for. I can't tell if after so many plays, X number of plays, if there is a standard opening set, at least for a player board and action board combo, because those do switch and kind of mess things up. But it felt as I was going maybe after playing Crimea 20 times, I'll know where I want to start with Crimea, because the starting location and the starting availability is all the same. So I don't know yet, but that's what I was thinking in my head.
But doesn't Crimea, Are you talking about the solo game, or do you choose where you start in the solo game?
No, I'm saying like given that in the game you always start in the same area depending on the faction that you play.
Right.
It lends
I thought
itself.
you said choosing where you want a certain faction to begin.
No, I'm sorry. Given the fact that you don't choose, you start in the same location every time.
Okay.
And the spaces surrounding you are always the same because the board's not modular. There's always that oil space right across the river from me. I know that I can go get that oil. Like it feels like it could potentially become procedural, but I don't have enough plays to say yes or no.
One of the other main aspects of the game is the asymmetry between the factions. And I mean, there's the saying, if everything is overpowered, then nothing's truly overpowered. But I don't feel that any of the factions really... Oh my gosh, what is the word I'm even looking for to describe what I'm saying here? I don't think that... No, that's too general. I don't think that any of the factions has a leg up in any one aspect, too much of a leg up in any one aspect than any of the other factions.
Except for Black.
What does Black do?
You can gain unlimited amount of stars through combat.
We'll get to that, because combat's another beast altogether, which I have beef with. About the only faction, and you guys can say other things however you feel, I feel the only faction that is probably a little more powered than the rest of them is the red one that you can choose the same action over and over and over again.
Yeah, that one is interesting. And I feel like it's just going to take so many iterations and plays to see how it falls. But when you immediately read it, you're like, wow, that power versus taking two options on an encounter card? Like, what? How do those match up?
Well, that's also really powerful, though.
Except when...
Unless you're Tyler, who doesn't move around the map and get encounters.
Yeah, I only stay in my little quadrant, if that's even what it is.
Tyler doesn't even bother with Riverwalk. He just...
No, I do. I move in, get some stuff, and then move back into my own territory.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like, gaining unlimited stars or using the same action twice versus using a combat card as a resource. While it is powerful, it's much more situational than every turn I have access to my ability. I don't know. I don't know if we're jumping into balance issues, but it is something that I have thought a lot about, and I've kind of pored over the different factions and looked at their abilities. I do think that the mech abilities are relatively even. I think that each one has kind of this crazy... It's got a Riverwalk that's applicable to their starting location. It has kind of a crazy... Speed. Yeah. It's got a crazy combat, and it's got kind of more utility power.
Right.
But those even out across the board. I think that that's fine. Oh, and even thinking about it, the ability for your workers, for the blue guys, the Nordic, to move across rivers immediately is also scary. So I don't know. Because that can move... You start getting things out really quickly, and that mobility is dangerous for opponents. So...
But then again, you're only able to move the workers.
Yeah. But I can place mechs where my workers are.
True, that is true, but you still need to be able to stop and start generating resources to be able to get those mechs.
Yeah.
So you're still going to be bogged down for several turns once you hit a metal spot.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's fair. And I guess, how do you feel about the potential? Now, I haven't seen any super problematic areas, but how do you feel about the randomized action boards versus the faction boards? Do you feel like there's potentially problematic combos where a starting location with access to a resource and an action board that has a cheap ability with that related to that resource, do you think that could be problematic, or does that kind of even out?
In all of my plays, I've seen it happen one time.
Yeah.
And that was my friend Chuck got stuck on the very right of the map. And it's somewhere on the very right-hand side of the map where there's not much metal.
Mm-hmm.
And he got the faction board that needs 4 metal to build a mech.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it slowed down his ability to get off of his island so much for so long. But then again, he very easily, I'm pretty sure that his board also had really cheap building production to build a building. So he could have just gotten the wood. He could have gotten the wood to build a mine and then jump to the main part of the board through his own personal mine.
And I guess the other option is to pay a gold to trade 2 turns in a row because you're red and can do that. So 2 turns, you've got 4 metal.
Right.
So there are ways out.
Right. I don't think that the map is... I don't think the map causes problems with the variations in the player boards. I think that it's player choice.
Okay. Yeah.
Not taking the correct. That's probably harsh.
Yeah, I was
not
going to back you into a corner on that one.
Yeah, not taking the most effective route to get yourself off of your starting location or the most effective path to enlightenment. Nope, that's not right.
There's a sevenfold path.
Yeah.
If you're playing Crimea that I know of. Do you feel like specific factions point you in a specific direction? I know, like, if you play Ana and her bear, her abilities revolve around...
Well, she's got the sniper rifle that puts people to sleep, and
exactly, yeah, and
and then
she can supercharge her bear.
And then in Overwatch you can just go up and teabag them, and then they come back awake. That's what I do when
I tried that in Scythe, but everyone looked at me funny. No, I do wonder because it seems like they are attempting to tilt the factions towards a particular strategy, but I don't think that they go far enough where you feel boxed in. Or feel like there's a beneficial strategy. It just is kind of like, okay, this guy his power is that he gains unlimited stars from combat. I should probably go combat. But you don't have to go combat.
That's the only faction I feel that's pushed in a certain direction.
Yeah.
So while we're there, let's talk about combat.
Okay.
Tyler, how many times have you engaged in combat in this game?
Once.
And?
I won.
I don't have any follow-up. That actually really surprised me.
I put a 7 and my highest card, and I won.
I have been in combat as Saxony, the black faction, the faction that player color is black. How do I handle this gingerly?
You said back.
Saxony. And I tried to do like a game-winning combo where I could just fight and get my last 2 stars and win the game. And combat, in my opinion, it's not great.
Is it not great, or is it not what you want it to be?
Both.
Okay.
Both.
Elaborate, please.
You've played Blood Rage, right?
I have played Blood Rage.
It's terrible. Never buy it.
I had a legitimately sour experience with Blood Rage, but I see the merit, so I can have this conversation.
Tyler's had 2 sour experiences with Blood Rage,
yeah.
So he feels you. Even just the little bit of difference between the combat in Blood Rage and the combat in Scythe is an enormous difference to me somehow, and I don't really know how. Like, I love how the combat is in Blood Rage. Scythe combat frustrates me to no end, but you know what? There's not really too much of a difference except for standard unit strength in Blood Rage and chance floating scale of how much power you're dedicating in Scythe.
That's a big difference, though, and that's what I was going to point out. I mean, when you go into Blood Rage, I'm putting this guy in there. Basically, you and your opponent have an understanding of where you guys are starting out, and the only thing that matters is what card am I putting down? Is that going to make it or break it? And in this game, I know what's available, but I have no idea what you're bringing to the table. You can bring anywhere between, I guess, is the highest power card 4 or 5?
5,
Somewhere, I think it's 5. So you've got 11 to 12 power available to you at any given time, 0 to 12. If they have a combat card versus Blood Rage, which is, I can add up to 4 or depending on the round, depending on where I'm at, I can add so much. So just the probability of where you're going to land is so tough. And then winning a combat gets you a star, yes, but the potential... Which is
huge in the game where you only need 6 to end the game.
This is true, but sacrificing a combat, basically throwing in 0 to a combat is better, and just outright losing a star to your opponent is better than spending and losing.
And do you get a star on a successful defense?
If you win combat, you get a star, I believe.
That's what I thought. I guess the reason why combat frustrates me to no end is anybody who listens regularly knows how much I loathe bidding. I loathe auction games. And to me, it feels like an auction. It feels like you're blind bidding, because that's what you're doing. You're blind bidding, and it frustrates me so much.
Well, and do you ever enter combat, at least in your mind? Like, do you ever enter? Yeah, do you ever just enter combat, Craig? Do you
only if I really have to
enter a combat in Scythe without the intention of like spending what's needed to be spent?
You mean the maximum?
Bad. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily the maximum, like I need to spend 7, because that's the maximum you can spend on your dial, plus your most expensive cards. But the idea that like I have overwhelming force available to me and I'm going to spend it. So if the opponent has at most 5 or 6 to their name, I'm ready to spend 7. Like, do you ever go in and actually bid and try to undercut the opponent, or do you just try to squish them every time?
You try and squish them every time.
Yeah.
But your opponent knows that, which means that your opponent's going to bid 0.
Exactly.
Almost always.
Exactly.
But then on the rare chance that Craig would, bid less than that, thinking that my opponent's going to realize the math and bid 0, I would get rocked.
You end up in the Princess Bride situation.
Right.
I know that you know that I know that you know, and you.
Right.
I guess maybe that situation could arise, but I still haven't had that happen.
And that's just horribly inconceivable to me.
Yeah. I don't find the combat egregious. Like, I'm not, again, I've only played it twice, and I've probably entered combat, 3 times if you include the solo, but the solo combat's a little bit different. I've probably entered combat 6 times, because 2-player, you want those 2 stars, and that's a good way to get them. I've probably gotten 2 combat stars each game I've played. I play the game, but I only go in with overwhelming force. But that being said, it just feels like a very Euro-y action. Like, I'm going here and I'm spending what needs to be spent, and life is moving forward. It doesn't feel like combat, so I just don't even...
Combat to me doesn't ever really feel... Unless you're going up against 2 units and 2 units and you both have over 7 power.
Yeah.
And then you're just throwing down. But in that case, that's not the person you're going to try and fight.
Exactly. And how often are you butting heads in your 5-player games?
I wouldn't say any more than in my 2 or 3-player games.
Interesting.
Like, combat... And we've talked about this before, and I think, Tyler, you and I talked about it too.
We did?
That combat only works, in my opinion, combat only works if it's done at the very beginning of a game.
Yeah.
Or the very end of a game.
Yeah.
Combat's not a middle of the game action that you want to take.
No.
It needs to be the I've jumped out to an early lead with my power, so I'm going to just squash you to get my star.
Mm-hmm.
Or this is the play that could end the game, and it needs to happen.
Yeah, that's happened to me before. Like, I fight in the middle of the game and I just get destroyed. But, I have 7 power and 5 card, and I wreck them.
Yeah.
If anyone fights me, I usually have a handful of battle cards. That sounds like a complete Bakugan reference.
Wow.
I have a hand of battle cards and you'll never defeat
Ty
me.
always has his blue eyes white dragon in his hand. He's ready to go.
Come on, man. That's Yu-Gi-Oh!
Sorry. It's all I know.
We're talking Bakugan, man. The little marbles that you roll out and the magnet hits and then they open up into robots.
I still
You got
have
that
all
Charizard?
Oh, man.
So have you ever...
Nerd cred gone.
Your experiences, have you ever entered into a combat, or let me phrase it this way, has a combat loss ever set you back that much? Does sending your units home, how detrimental is that to your gameplay?
Do you have an answer for that?
No, because I never engaged in combat. So.
Have you lost a combat?
Nope.
Okay, anytime that I've lost a combat, by the time, if it's early game, it hurts a lot. Because you've found some way to get off your island, get power, and get across the board to smash someone's face in.
And then they just wreck you.
So if it happens early game, I think it hurts a lot more than it's going to hurt you late game. Late game, you've gotten enough mechs to give you enough mobility to be able to jump from mine to mine or be able to jump from here to here. I don't think sending the units back end game is that bad, with the caveat that if you're playing against Saxony, who can get multiple stars and multiple stars and multiple stars from combat, it could be a lot more damaging, because if you're rolling with your units in separate hexes, they take out your main force, send them back, then they just have to snipe off one mech at a time to get all their stars on the board. And that's happened to me.
I've got 2 questions, and I think the combat is a big deal here because the rest is kind of more straightforward resource collection and fulfillment and things like that. So combat is really this twist that's not a huge part of the game, but is a huge part of the game. And I wonder, first of all, is the popularity loss for sending people back, sending workers back, is that enough of a deterrent at times?
I'm going to answer that with a statement that isn't very related to what you're asking me.
Okay, good.
Anytime there's been a game that I've played in, any of the 5 games, where someone thought that they were doing really, really well, and even the person that placed the sixth star ends up losing by a significant margin, and they look and go, man, I didn't realize how important popularity was.
Mm-hmm.
The multiplier of having your popularity higher and how much more gold you get in endgame is massive from one step to another.
Yeah.
Even if I've just broken the line into the third step, it's taken me all game and all kinds of hard work to get to that third step. Someone's come through and steamrolled my workers with mechs, and they've lost the popularity. You're talking about, depending on how you played, at least a 20 gold gap in your end game points.
Yeah.
Just from the modifiers. We could have the same amount of territories, we could have the same amount of stars, we could have the same amount of everything. But the multiplier gap between 1 and 2, 2 and 3, and heaven forbid 1 and 3, because there's been many games where people haven't gotten any popularity. Tyler's laughing because he's one of them.
What?
Oh no, you're usually good on popularity, aren't you? Yeah.
Gosh.
I've struggled with popularity gain. It really isn't my strong suit, and I focus so much on resource collection and upgrading that I just don't focus. I grab it whenever I can if it's the best option available, but if I have other things to do, I'm gonna grab resources before. But I think that, to its credit, I think that there were contingencies put in place to try to bolster that combat. And although the combat system itself isn't overly strong, I think that wasn't the intention of the game. So how it was designed towards lessening its aggressive impact and making it keeping it more that Euro-friendly style of game. So it feels very unsatisfying as a combat, but at the same time, in terms of an efficiency step towards getting a star, it often feels nice. But it doesn't feel like combat, I'll tell you that much. No. You said moving your force around, and one of my questions is going to be, do you really play like the tactical move your force around game? Because I just find that I move my mechs, and yeah, I position them, but I'm not building a front, I'm not building a force, I'm just moving my mechs around kind of thing. Do you have an answer for that? Do you feel like you're tactically moving troops around the battlefield?
I don't know, I never leave my home base.
That is true.
He's a turtle.
But it works for him. I'm not saying he's doing super well at it, but he gets his engine going. As far as the way I view it, I don't feel like I'm moving a war force around the map. But along with what I said earlier is with people kind of avoiding combat because they know how important that star is. If you lose, your opponent gets a star. So I have used my faction, my mechs, and my commander to set up a blockade wall to stop people from getting here or getting there, knowing that they would rather spend extra turns going around me than try and go through me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So they move to position around, I move my workers and my mechs a step around.
Then you're wasting a turn.
So then I'm just kind of keeping if it's keeping someone off the factory, I don't think I'm wasting a turn at all, because I'm slowing other people down from getting factory cards. I'm stopping them from getting majority at the end of the game in the factory. So if I can get my movement up and I can set up a blockade around the factory, I don't think it's a wasted turn at all.
Thought you meant like around your home thing. That would be a waste.
They can pillage and burn my home area all they want.
Can't take my factory.
That's not where I live. We all know I live from mine to mine. We're sewer people. What do you think? Did you already answer it the best that you wanted to? Do you feel like you have a force moving around the table?
I really don't. And I guess this comes down to expectations, and we can talk about the hype train. Everyone's talked about the hype train. I don't think that I entered this game with a lot of hype. I think that I was drawn to it based on the aesthetic, because I resonate so much with it. It feels like a game that was made for my interests. So I really liked it.
He made it just for you.
Yeah, I mean, me and Jamie Stegmaier, if there's anything I know, it's that we're best friends. And that he designed a game and found a guy with art for me. So I don't feel like I'm moving around, but I kind of play into the theme where these are like farming equipment. And these are mechs that were formed into like makeshift warriors and things like that. So I don't view it as a combat game as much as I want to, because I loved Dust Tactics and Dust Warfare and things like that. And that's got this really kind of like gritty world war with mechs kind of thing. This could have that, but it doesn't. And I appreciate it for being more of an economic farming resource gathering game that happens to have this great, powerful technology that you can use. They're deterrents in my mind. So I use them tactically to kind of, like you said, blockade and position, and I get my combat stars. But am I moving a force? Am I being a military tactician? No, I'm not. I think I'm being an economic efficiency, an engine creator.
Well, and people want to compare this to Kemet, but I would say in the Madigo line, I would compare this more to Cyclades.
Yeah.
Because you're you're working on your engine, you're trying to win a game with your engine, but your miniatures are there in case you have to fight.
Yeah. Which Kemet is all, I mean, Kemet is combat and positioning and things like that, where you're trying to kill off your opponents.
Right.
Even the fact that you don't kill people in this, you send them back to their home space, shows that, like,
with their mech tail between their legs.
Exactly. Just like scurry off all robotically with your oil leaking. You're not trying to destroy your opponent, you're trying to disadvantage them. I've been trying to find like a parallel, a corollary here, and I'm going to try to talk to Dan about it on our show when we record this weekend. I think that this game, I don't know if you've played it, this is my Hyperborea of this year. Because Hyperborea is a Euro game with a deterministic combat element. And it's very resource gather, up your tech, move around the board and hold positions. That's what this game is to me. And I love it because of that. Like, I really like what the game offers, even though it's not at all what it initially appears to be.
Yeah, if it were a straight combat game, I wouldn't be too excited about it. Like I said, the fact that it's more of a Cyclades than a Kemet means that it automatically has a thumbs up in my book.
Yeah.
Because who wants to, in a game where your main goal is engine efficiency, adding a full complete combat game in there, I think would just be disjointed. I know that I don't really appreciate the way the combat is, but I think that with the style of the game, with the feel of the game, it fits, it works.
Mm-hmm. And I don't want to throw a wrench in the conversation and kind of derail us, but have you played Euphoria at all?
It's on my shelf. It has not been played. Sorry,
Okay.
Jamie.
It's one of Jamie Stegmaier's other designs, and I don't think that these are terribly related, but there is this whole star mechanism and this I get 2 objective cards and can complete one. There are parallels there that are stronger, especially for a Euphoria fan, than I originally thought there would be. And, you know, I'm just throwing that out there as kind of an interesting caveat to this whole conversation, that I think that there were things from that design that he liked that he kind of brought over into this, especially like the popularity track mimics the intelligence track or whatever it's called in Euphoria, and that's obviously a dice worker placement game, so this is very different, but it's got some of those elements that I think are consistent through his design that he felt were successful that he carried over to here. So that's kind of cool too. So
before we go into like our final thoughts, why don't you, Matthew, tell me about the Automata engine in Scythe?
I'll try to keep it short, but basically there are several levels of the single player AI mode. So I played against the Automata, which is the easy AI, and the game generally played Auto Tomato. Yeah, I played against a giant robotic tomato, which is terrifying. It doesn't seem that easy, but level 2 is a husk of corn, and that's, you know. So
it's better than the possessed gourd, which is nightmare level.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with that thing. Oh man, the vines. It
Oh, that's dirty. That's so gross.
It is basically the same game. You know, you're trying to complete 6 stars, but obviously your opponent is controlled by an AI in this fashion. It is a deck of cards. So the way that it works is basically you pick your AI setting, and that gives you a little card that has a grid of squares on it. It's 4x5, I believe. So basically each one of those represents a potential turn. So what you have is 20 turns, 20 AI turns to beat this thing, because throughout the game it will be gathering stars based on where its time tracker kind of ticks up. This was interesting because it's almost like a Scythe training module, because what it did for me was I sat down with my faction, I played a familiar faction, and I played against a familiar faction, because they say to, you know, for your first game, set yourself as far apart. Basically, you flip one of these cards up and it has 3 sections on it. The top section is how the AI will move. The second section is how the AI will gain in some way, whether resources or money. And the third action is the potential enlistment bonus if you've upgraded your enlistment. And halfway through the game, when you've ticked, 10 of the 20 turns or whatever, you actually flip the deck over and those actions become a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more beneficial for the AI. So it starts slow and then it picks up about halfway through.
Right.
Which
is what happens in the real game.
Exactly. Your goal is to beat the AI, and that doesn't necessarily mean getting 6 stars first, because 6 stars just ends the game. It's most money at the end of the game, just like the base game. So what I did was I felt behind at first, And I ended up, getting my 6 stars out there faster because things started to snowball for me where they stalled out for the automaton. And the reason why they stalled out is because it has a very strict kind of movement instructions. Movement's kind of the big part of the AI. As you flip these cards, when you see what action they'll do, you pick, it might have 2 or 3 options. You pick the first option. And most of those options, at least when I played, were just moving workers around. So while the automaton was gaining a lot of area control and sits at a stock 10 popularity, which is tier 2, so they're getting, I guess, 3 or 4 coins per space, I was able to maneuver a lot more and play the other parts of the game. So it seems like that easy mode is really focused on area control. We did combat, which is kind of unique. It's a card flip to see how much you fight against. So it's even more of a blind bid because there's no player to read. There's no situation to read. I spent 7 and I flipped a 1 and was like, well, I overpaid by 6. But other than that, I think it was enjoyable. It's not the same as playing against an opponent. It really isn't, because you lose what little interaction there is because you're not fighting that much and your actions don't have a huge impact. You lose the positioning element and kind of the competition for resources because everything's just kind of like a robot, that's what it's supposed to be. You move and then it gains 2 resources and you're kind of playing your own little game. The other difficulties I'll be interested to try out. They seem like they will be harder. Things get faster and speed.
I almost set up a game today to play before we recorded and then Craig got sleepy.
The rules really aren't that hard, but you have to learn every different movement option because there's a strict set of rules and tiebreakers and qualifiers on how things are going to end up. And I believe I played it right. I spent a good amount of time, double checking my moves, and I actually only won by 3 coins. I thought I lost at first. So it was tight and it was cool, but I don't know that it's a solo game I would indulge in too much. I like that it lets me practice though and try out new things. It's fun to play when someone else isn't around.
All right, so with that, I think we're about ready to put a pin in this. So why don't each of us take a minute or so, and Tyler probably about 10 seconds, and why don't we wrap up and say what we thought about it, what we think about Scythe. So Tyler, what do you think about Scythe?
I love it.
Oh gosh.
What do you think about Scythe?
No, that can't be it. That can't be it.
Yes, it can.
Tell me one good thing about Scythe and one bad thing about Scythe. We'll do this like freshmen do.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
One good thing about Scythe and one bad thing about Scythe. What is your favorite thing about Scythe?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I know what your favorite thing is.
What is it? Staying in my own base? That's a pretty fun thing.
Who's your favorite faction?
Who's your favorite faction, Tyler?
The one that gives me all the stars so nobody else can have it and I can just have it to myself. The Black
Is that
faction.
a stretch goal? I didn't get that one.
Oh, the Black faction?
Yeah.
Why? What do you mean?
So no one can get all the stars from combat, and I can just sit in my base.
Oh, so no one else can have it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you like being the Black faction, so no one else is the Black faction.
Yes.
Gotcha. Do you understand what he was saying, Matt?
That's a metagame move.
Is there anything that you dislike about Scythe?
If there is, I can't think of it right now.
So in your opinion, it's a game worthwhile,
Yes.
and it's a game that's easy to be taught.
Yes.
Here's a question for you. Remember when you had all your friends over for your little birthday sleepover and they wanted to play Risk and no one had any idea how to play Risk, and it was hilarious watching you guys try to figure out how to play Risk. And then your friends were like, "Can you teach us Axis and Allies?" And I just laughed and patted them on their tiny heads and sent them to bed. Is this a game that you think that the 5 of you could play?
Maybe.
Is this a game that you would like to try and teach your 4 friends that came over for your birthday shindig?
Probably not.
Why?
Because they're all trolls.
Okay, well, fair enough.
And 5 trolls in one game just makes a terrible game.
I guess I can't argue that. But you would suggest people playing it?
Yes.
Just not you and your 14-year-old friends?
Yes.
Okay, well, I guess I don't have any other questions other than that. So, Matt, hit me with it.
Can I borrow the 50 seconds that he didn't use?
Oh, yeah.
So I get a minute 50?
Yeah.
Okay.
Take as much time as you want.
I do not know where I fall on Scythe as a reviewer. I think that as a person, as a human being, I think that it's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. I'm thinking about it a lot. I was willing to solo it, and not just because of you, Craig, although it was a little bit because of you. But I think that it's legitimately...
I'll take the blame.
I think it's legitimately fun. I've kept it set up. I've got a game night planned tomorrow where I got 3 people coming over. We're going to play a 4-player game. It's on my mind. No way I'm done with it. I think the production value is off the charts. Probably would win, in my mind, like a game of the year for artwork, for production value. I don't know that you can beat it. It's so well put together. I think the gameplay is where, if you're going to pick on it, I don't know what people were trying to make it out to be. When people say it lives up or doesn't live up to the hype, I'm not sure what they were hoping for. I think that it's a solid game. I have concerns about potential variability. Not that it doesn't have any, because I think it's got tons. I wonder how much they tested. I wonder how much, if there's a solution somewhere in there where this combination of player mat and faction starts to wreak havoc. So I'll be interested to see. I think we've got 2 more factions coming, which I'm scared to death about because I can't imagine playing that game with 6 or 7 people. And I know that Jamie does not recommend it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's not a thing that he suggests, right? It's just more options.
Yeah.
And one's like an Asian faction, and the other one is I don't remember the other one. Yeah. But I think they're both have to do with something, I don't know. I remembered the name of the expansion, but now I don't.
It's Invaders from Afar, or something like that. And I think what's really interesting is that, so the board is stock, it's already printed, not modular. Those 2 factions are not on a peninsula. They do not have water barring their entry to the main land.
I did not notice that.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what their abilities are, but I do feel like that I can't imagine what else they would expand here, which is fine. I don't need an expansion, but the game being so stock and being printed the way it was printed and produced the way it was produced, I don't know how much more you can add. So I think what you get in terms of Scythe is what you're going to get forever. And if you don't like it, don't expect something to come and change your mind. I think that this is the game that it is, and it's totally fun. It's not super heavy. I'd say it's a light to medium weight, like Euro with some tactical combat, and definitely something worth playing. Do I spend $130 on it like I did? Probably not, but $60 or cheaper, go for it.
I fall in the same camp. Even though this game had lots of hype and a lot of people were upset that they fell into it and purchased the game and grew bored with it, I think that for me, this game is going to be something that I'm going to be willing to play and wanting to play for a while. Especially with as you said, Matt, especially with the new factions coming out, I think there's a lot more to dig in. While I don't think that there's a ton of strategery, quote unquote strategery, not a real word.
Good term. Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of exploration on being the most effective that you can be. You're not so much building an engine, but you're definitely making whatever small piece of an engine you have into the most efficient running engine that you can. Almost like whenever I used to play way back in the biggity back, I used to play StarCraft.
You did?
I played lots of StarCraft.
StarCraft 2?
Nope. Computer couldn't run it. We're talking OG StarCraft 1.
I love OG StarCraft 1. Oh, man.
And after a while of playing StarCraft, you picked a race that you stuck with, and you would develop a build order for the first 5 minutes of the game. I think that's what Scythe has the ability to do, is almost perfecting your build order in the beginning of the game. Sure, your player board might change, but just knowing how fluid step A goes into step B, goes into step C, and seeing how everything is going to piece together, I think that that's a puzzle in itself that I really am excited to explore, and I would like to play it until I master it, because I think that the game underneath all of the mechanics of perfect engine efficiency, I think that the game on top of it is a lot of fun too. It's not going anywhere for me. I'm fine with my $60 edition. I'm getting metal coins for Christmas.
Yeah. It's definitely a game that I'm not smart enough to figure out fast enough to get bored, if that makes sense.
No, totally. I understand that totally. And so. I like I said before, and I think this falls in line with what I'm saying now. I said before that you could have eons of experience, but somebody who's just playing their second or third game is going to have almost as much success as you are. And I think that that's the challenge of it, is getting to a point where you think you've perfected it and then seeing everything unravel just because of how simplistic the gameplay is. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's how I feel about it.
No, I'm with you. And my last piece that I will say is shout out for this awesome achievement sheet that is included.
Right.
Because way to make a double-sided sheet of paper a lot of fun. It's meaningless, but it's the same concept of like box topping your game or something like that, where you pick your faction, you get to write something down like that you won the game or that you did this cool accomplishment. This is the kind of silly stuff that me as a gamer keeps me coming back, because I'm totally excited to play a new faction and try to fill something out.
Achievement unlocked.
Oh yeah, man. I'm
We
a
live in the
trophy
achievement
hunter.
unlock days.
I've been trying to get all the trophies in Overwatch. I don't think I'm gonna do it.
Here we go. I should just have had you sit in the Overwatch podcast and left you out of this one.
Are you guys doing an Overwatch podcast? Okay.
No.
So Zenyatta.
Turns out I'm good with him on
Trash.
PC.
Zenyatta is trash.
Oh, he's good on PS4 now.
So Tyler, you also mentioned the achievement sheet. What do you think? Is
I
that a
did.
really cool addition?
I did.
Yeah. Here.
Oh, I see it. Okay, we haven't.
You got really excited because when you looked at it, it reminded you of the boards in Risk Legacy
and Pandemic.
and Pandemic. How you were kind of filling out all the cool information.
Yeah. Jeez, oh man, that goes all the way up to my graduation year.
Yeah. So with that, if nobody else has anything to say about Scythe, I think that I'll wrap it up and say that it's a thumbs up for all of us.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And
we'll play it when I come into Baltimore.
we will definitely play it. And if you listen to our show, you'll hear the direct opposite opinion, because I'm pretty sure my brother hated it.
Oh, well.
But that's
He
okay.
also doesn't like Euphoria, so.
Silly person.
Because you said that a lot of it plays like Euphoria, right?
It does, to some extent. Yeah,
And he hates
I think
Euphoria.
that they're interchangeable. But hey, we'll stick with the thumbs up, and Botch Games will end on a positive note.
That's right. Tyler, you got the thumbs up too?
Sure.
Yay! I love when I buy games that people don't hate.
Me too. That's all I'm going for.
Yeah. All right, so with that, we're gonna break away. Thank you so much, Matt, for joining us. I guess that I should do the thing where, like, if anybody wanted to reach you, where could they do that?
Oh,
or find you.
I appreciate that. Well,
Yeah.
First of all, thank you for having me on the show. I've got so many thoughts on Scythe, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk about them. Sorry that I'm so long-winded. That's something I'm criticized on my show, the podcast of Nonsensical Gamers. You can find us on iTunes and all the good places where podcasts are found, or you can check us out on our blog, nonsensicalgamers.com, which we do reviews and previews and all kinds of fun stuff. And you can find me at Cinnamon Buns, spelled phonetically, on Twitter. And I refuse to spell it, so good luck.
Thanks, guys, for joining me, and stick around, everybody. I'll be back to wrap up the episode.
No, we won't.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Botch Games podcast. If you'd like to reach out to any of us, the best way to do that is on Twitter. If you'd like to reach Tyler, he is on Twitter at nullmark6202. It's been changed. I know that he keeps saying one or the other every time he's on an episode, but it is nullmark6202. That's KNULL. Erin is on Twitter at IrishMist1123. And of course, you can find me on Twitter at Botch Games. I run the main page. I'm the one who you are most likely going to speak with. I'm also on Facebook, facebook.com/Botch Games. I am on Board Game Links, I guess. I'm on BGG at BotchGames1. You can send me an email at botchgames1@gmail.com. Also, the best thing that you can do for us is to leave a rating or review on iTunes or Stitcher. Even just a couple stars, you don't even have to say anything. Leaving a couple stars is going to help the show get noticed. It's going to help more people find it and make me want to keep doing it. Or tell a friend, because apparently when I told everybody to tell a friend last time, my listenership went through the freaking roof in this small little corner of listeners that I actually get. Mention me on Twitter. Whenever other people are talking about podcasts that they're interested in, just throw my name out there. Not many people know about it because not many people are talking about it except me, shouting from the rooftops. Ugh, terrible story. I went to Origins and I got carted around by a couple other media people and introduced to everybody. And as I'm walking away, so many people were like, "I've never heard of that one." Yeah, I know no one's heard of this one. I'm doing everything that I can, and I don't know how to do it better. If I had a nice, cushy office job where I could sit around and have a computer with BGG and Twitter up all freaking day, I'm sure that I could get a lot more done. But because I don't, because I'm stuck in a miserable career that's ending soon, and I have nowhere to go from there. Sorry to bring everybody down. I don't have access to all of this technology all day, and I lose all kinds of social interaction. So evangelize for me, Steve, and other Steves out there. All of you Steves, evangelize. Do your part. That's asking too much, but you guys do awesomely enough. You guys are fantastic listeners, especially you, Steve. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up. We'll be back in 2 weeks for a regularly scheduled episode, probably next week for another new 100, and then apparently I'm going to be a regular contributor on another podcast, but I'll talk about that when it actually happens, because life. So with that, I bid you a good 2 weeks. Play all the games. Just play all the games and have tons of fun. That's it. That's almost too close to somebody else's catchphrase, but I mean, that's pretty cheap that they took the one that everybody wants to say. I mean, what else are you going to say? Enjoy cardboard on boards and have plethora of excitement. That one. I like that.